My stepdaughter just posted a photo on Facebook calling her deadbeat biological father the best dad ever after I spent $60,000 on her college education. Let me repeat that. I raised this girl for 10 years from age 8 to 18, paid for everything from braces to graduation, and she just publicly thanked the man who shows up twice a year and owes $12,000 in back child support. I'm sitting in a university parking lot right now, banned from her graduation ceremony, because there was only room for one father figure, and apparently DNA trumps a decade of sacrifice. While I'm out here watching through a live stream on my phone, Brian is inside taking credit for my work, my money, and my daughter. Here's the impossible part that really gets me. For 10 years, this girl called me Dad. Not stepdad, not Daniel, but Dad. I walked her to school on her first day, taught her to drive, stayed up all night when she was sick. I worked double shifts to afford her college, while Brian sent $200 a month when he remembered. And now in 2024, she's rewriting history on social media like I never existed. But here's what Mia and her mother don't know yet. I've been documenting everything for the past month since this graduation betrayal started. Every payment, every sacrifice, every broken promise from Brian. And I just made a decision that's going to change all of their lives forever. Because when your own family treats you like an ATM with legs, sometimes the only way to get respect is to turn off the money. And when they humiliate you publicly, well, the truth has a way of coming out in the most uncomfortable ways possible. They wanted their real dad to take credit. Let's see how real he is when the bills start coming. Let me take you back to where this all started. I met Jenna when Mia was 8 years old, this little girl with pigtails and gap teeth who was shy around me at first. Jenna had been divorced from Brian for 2 years by then, and honestly, I wasn't looking to become an instant father. But there was something about the way Mia would peek around the corner when I came over. Curious, but cautious. The first time she asked me to help with her math homework, I knew I was in trouble. Not because of the fractions, but because of the way she looked at me like I might actually have the answers. By Halloween that year, she was holding my hand. When we went trick-or-treating, by Christmas, she had drawn me a picture labeled My Family, with 3 stick figures holding hands. She started calling me Dad by Christmas that year. Brian was supposed to have her every other weekend, but weekends turned into once a month, then holidays only, then whenever he felt like showing up. He'd promised to take her to the zoo and then cancel because work came up. He'd say he'd be at her school play, and then text Jenna 30 minutes before curtain that something urgent had come up. The child support was a joke, $200 a month, when he remembered to send it, which was maybe 8 months out of the year. Meanwhile, I was the one buying school clothes, paying for soccer cleats, taking her to practice every Tuesday and Thursday. I was the one who taught her to ride a bike, who stayed up all night when she had the flu, who helped her study for every test. But I was there for every scraped knee Brian missed. The financial reality hit me slowly. First, it was just helping out with groceries and gas. Then I was covering her health insurance. By the time she started high school, I was paying for everything. Car insurance when she got her license, SAT prep courses, college application fees. Jenna's income as a dental hygienist could cover the basics, but everything else fell to me. College was the big one. State tuition ran $15,000 a year, and that was just tuition. Add room and board books, meal plans, and we were looking at $25,000 annually. Over 4 years, I calculated I'd invested nearly $60,000 in Mia's education. Brian contributed exactly $0 to her college fund. Every dollar came from my paycheck for 10 years. The conversation that changed everything happened on a Tuesday evening in March, 2 months before graduation. I was making dinner when Mia came into the kitchen with her laptop open, looking nervous. She had that expression she used to get when she was little, and knew she was about to ask for something big. "So, Dad," she started. And my heart did that little flip it always did when she called me that. "I need to talk to you about graduation. The university only gives each student 4 tickets, and with you, Mom and Grandma, that's 3. But I was thinking—" She paused, and I could see her working up to something. "I was thinking maybe Brian should get the 4th ticket instead of Grandma." I stopped stirring the sauce. "Brian. Your biological father, Brian. The Brian who missed your high school graduation because he had a golf tournament. That's the thing, Dad. He's really been trying lately. He calls me every few weeks now, and he said he really wants to be there for this milestone. It would mean a lot to him." I set down the wooden spoon and turned to face her. "Mia, I've been to every single school event for the past 10 years. I paid for this degree. Why would I not be there?" That's when she said it. The words that would replay in my head for weeks. "Because Brian is my real dad, and this feels like something a real father should experience." She said Brian deserved to be there as her real dad. I felt something cold settle in my chest, but I kept my voice level. "I see. And what does your mother think about this?" Before Mia could answer, Jenna walked into the kitchen. She'd obviously been listening from the doorway. "Daniel, I think what Mia is trying to say is that she wants to include Brian more in her life. This is a big moment for her, and if having her biological father there makes her happy, shouldn't we support that?" I looked between my wife and the girl I'd raised for a decade, so I'm supposed to give up my seat for a man who's contributed nothing to this achievement. "It's not about money," Jenna said quickly. "It's about family, about healing relationships. I think you should be happy that Mia wants to build a stronger connection with her father. Her father, not her biological father, not Brian. Her father." Jenna said I should be happy for Mia's relationship with her father. Over the next few days, I tried to approach this logically. I sat down with Jenna and Mia separately, thinking maybe I could make them understand what this felt like from my perspective. "Look, I get that Brian is Mia's biological father," I told Jenna one evening after Mia had gone to bed. "But I've been the one doing the actual parenting. I've driven her to school every day for 10 years. I taught her to parallel park. I stayed up all night with her when she had food poisoning junior year. Doesn't that count for anything?" Jenna sighed, like I was being deliberately difficult. "Of course it counts, Daniel. But you can't expect Mia to choose between her 2 fathers. I'm not asking her to choose. I'm asking for basic respect for what I've contributed." "You sound like you're keeping score," she said. "That's not what family is about." When I tried talking to Mia directly, she was even more dismissive. "Dad, I'm not saying you don't matter, but Brian is my blood. He's been working really hard to be better, and this would show him that I forgive him for the past." "What about showing me that you value the present?" I asked. She shrugged. "You'll always be my stepdad. That's special too." Stepdad. After 10 years, I'd been downgraded to stepdad. They acted like paying for everything was just my job. A week later, I decided to check the university's family portal to see how the guest list process worked. Maybe there was room for flexibility. Maybe we could work something out. I logged into Mia's account, using the password I'd helped her set up freshman year. That's where I found it. The official graduation guest list already submitted and confirmed. Guest 1. Mia Patterson, Guest 2. Jenna Patterson. Mother, Guest 3. Brian Patterson. Father, Guest 4. Margaret Patterson. Grandmother. My name wasn't anywhere on the document. It wasn't like I'd been moved to an alternate list or marked as unable to attend. I had been completely erased, replaced by Brian, with the official designation, father. Not biological father, not birth father. Father. My name had been completely erased from her graduation. The next day, Jenna's sister called me. Daniel, Jenna told me about this graduation thing, and I think you're being a little unreasonable. She started without even saying hello. Mia is trying to rebuild her relationship with her dad, and you're making it about you. I'm making it about me. I paid $60,000 for her education. Money isn't everything. Sometimes you have to be the bigger person and let things go. This is one day. You'll have plenty of other opportunities to celebrate with her. The calls kept coming. Jenna's mother, her brother, even neighbors who had been recruited to convince me that I was being selfish and petty. They all had the same script. Be the bigger person, don't make waves, think about what's best for Mia. Not one of them mentioned what might be best for me. Not one of them acknowledged that maybe the man who'd been present and paying for everything deserved a seat at the table. Everyone said I should just accept it and move on. Graduation day arrived with perfect spring weather. I sat in my car in the university parking lot, watching families stream into the auditorium in their best clothes, carrying flowers and cameras. I should have been among them. Instead, I was holding my phone, waiting for the live stream to start. The ceremony began at 2 o'clock. I watched the dean welcome. Everyone watched the graduates march in wearing their caps and gowns. When they called Mia's name and she walked across the stage, I felt proud and heartbroken at the same time. There she was, achieving something we'd worked toward together for 4 years, and I was experiencing it through a 3-inch screen. I watched my daughter graduate through a phone screen. After the ceremony, the local news crew was doing interviews with families outside the auditorium. I saw them approach Jenna, Mia, and Brian, and my stomach turned. I couldn't hear the audio through my car window, but I could see Brian gesturing animatedly, his arm around Mia's shoulders. I turned up the live stream volume on my phone, just as the reporter asked Brian how he felt about his daughter's achievement. "I'm incredibly proud," Brian said, beaming at the camera. "Watching her walk across that stage today, knowing all the hard work and dedication that went into getting here, it's just overwhelming. As a father, you always hope your children will succeed, and Mia has exceeded every expectation." The reporter nodded. "And what's next for Mia?" "Well, she's got some great opportunities ahead of her," Brian continued. "I'm just grateful I could be here to support her through this journey. The sacrifices we make as parents are all worth it when you see moments like this." I nearly threw my phone across the car. Sacrifices support. This man had contributed exactly nothing to her education, nothing to her daily life, nothing to the decade of work that made this moment possible. He talked about all the sacrifices he'd made for her education. I drove home in silence, but the day wasn't over. That evening, I made the mistake of checking Facebook. At the top of my feed was Mia's graduation post. A carousel of photos: Mia with her diploma, Mia with her grandmother, Mia with Jenna, and 3 photos of Mia with Brian. In one, he's adjusting her graduation cap. In another, they're both laughing at something off camera. The third shows them embracing with Brian, kissing the top of her head. The caption read, "Officially graduated, so grateful for my family, and especially my dad, who has always believed in me. Couldn't have done this without you. Brian Patterson, you're the best dad a girl could ask for. Thank you for everything you've done to help me get here, of you." The post had already gotten 47 likes and 12 comments, all congratulating Brian on raising such an accomplished daughter. She posted that he was the best dad she could ask for. That night, after seeing that Facebook post, I did something I should have done years ago. I sat down at my computer and started gathering evidence. 10 years of financial records methodically organized into folders. Bank statements showing tuition payments, car insurance, health insurance, grocery bills, clothing allowances. Every receipt, every check, every electronic transfer. The numbers were staggering when I laid them out in a spreadsheet. $60,000 for college was just the beginning. Add in 10 years of car payments insurance, medical expenses, school supplies, sports equipment, summer camps, and family vacations. And I was looking at over $120,000. Brian's total contribution over the same period. Maybe $18,000 in sporadic child support payments. I printed everything out and put it in a 3-ring binder. Page after page of documentation showing exactly who had funded Mia's life for the past decade. Bank routing numbers, account statements, credit card bills for her emergencies. It was all there, a complete financial biography of a girl whose real dad had contributed roughly 15% of her upkeep. Every receipt told the story they wanted to erase. The next morning, I got an unexpected phone call. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize, but the voice was familiar. "Daniel, this is Karen Bryan's sister. I hope you don't mind me calling, but I got your number from Jenna, and I felt like I needed to talk to you." I'd met Karen a few times over the years at birthday parties. She was always polite, but distant, walking that careful line of family loyalty. "I saw Mia's Facebook post," she continued. "And I have to tell you, it made me sick. I know what you've done for that girl. I've been watching Brian take credit for your work for years, and yesterday was the final straw." She paused, and I could hear her taking a deep breath. "Daniel, I'm sending you some screenshots. Brian has a group chat with my parents and Jenna, where they've been planning this whole thing. They knew exactly what they were doing when they pushed you out of graduation." 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a series of text images. Group chat messages between Brian, Jenna, and Brian's parents dating back 3 months. Brian: "Jenna thinks we can get Daniel to step back from graduation if we make it about father-daughter healing." Jenna: "He's been resistant, but Mia is on board. She wants to make things right with Brian." Brian's mother: "It's about time Brian stepped up and claimed his role. Daniel's done a good job, but blood is blood." Brian: "Once I'm established as her primary father figure again, we can probably get him to help with grad school too." She sent me screenshots of them planning my replacement. That afternoon, I drove to a lawyer's office downtown. I needed to know exactly what my legal obligations were before I made any irreversible decisions. The consultation cost me $300, but it was worth every penny. "You have no legal obligation to continue supporting an adult stepdaughter," the attorney explained. "She's 18, graduated, and you're not her biological father. Any financial support you've provided has been voluntary." She reviewed the documentation I'd brought. "You've kept excellent records. If there's ever any question about what you've contributed versus what her biological father has provided, you have ironclad evidence." I asked about cutting off financial support immediately. "Legally, you can stop all payments today if you want to. Car insurance, health insurance, phone bill, credit cards. If your name is on the accounts, you have every right to remove her." The lawyer said I had no legal obligation to keep paying. I drove home with a clear plan forming in my mind. They wanted Brian to be the real dad, fine. Let's see how real he is when all the bills start coming to him instead of me. And if they wanted to play this game publicly with Facebook posts and news interviews, then the public deserved to know the whole truth. I decided to show everyone who the real dad was. The next morning, I started making phone calls. First, the car insurance company. "I need to remove Mia Patterson from my policy," I told the agent. "Is she getting her own coverage? That's not my concern anymore. I gave them Brian's contact information as the new responsible party. If she needs insurance, he can handle it. Next was the health insurance. Same process, same result. Then her cell phone plan, which I'd been paying for since she turned 16. The customer service representative asked if I wanted to transfer the line to another account. Yes, transfer it to Brian Patterson, I said, giving them his phone number. He's taking over all parental responsibilities. Credit cards came next. I was an authorized user on 2 cards that Mia used for emergencies and college expenses. I called both companies and had myself removed with instructions to contact Brian Patterson for any payment issues going forward. The process took 3 hours, but when I was done, every financial obligation I'd been carrying for Mia was now Brian's problem. Car insurance, health insurance, phone bill, emergency credit cards, all of it transferred to the man who wanted to be recognized as her real father. I canceled everything with Brian's name as backup contact. While I was dismantling my financial support system, I was building something else, a comprehensive timeline of truth. I spent the weekend creating a detailed Facebook post that would lay out exactly what the past 10 years had looked like. I started with photos. Mia's first day of high school with me. Dropping her off. Pictures from college move-in day, where I'm carrying boxes while Brian is nowhere to be seen. Screenshots of tuition payment confirmations with my bank account information visible. Photos of us at father-daughter events, school play soccer games. All the moments where I was the one showing up. Then I added the financial timeline. A simple clean chart showing my contributions versus Brian's over the past decade. College tuition, car payments, insurance, premiums, emergency expenses. Next to each item, I put Brian's contribution, 0, 0, 0, 0. The contrast was devastating. Page after page of documentation showing exactly who had been the provider, the supporter, the actual father figure. And at the bottom, a screenshot of Mia's graduation post calling Brian the best dad ever. I built a timeline that showed exactly who paid for what. The hardest part was pretending everything was normal. Jenna and Mia were planning a family celebration dinner for the weekend, talking about where to go and who to invite. They were both glowing from the graduation success, riding high on the narrative that everything had worked out perfectly. "We should go somewhere nice," Jenna suggested over breakfast. "This is a big milestone for our family." "Absolutely," I agreed, buttering my toast. "Mia deserves to celebrate." They had no idea that in 3 days, reality would hit them like a freight train. Mia would try to buy gas and find out her credit card had been declined. She'd get a notification that her car insurance had lapsed. Her phone service would be suspended for non-payment. And then they'd realize that being the real dad meant more than just showing up for photo opportunities. They planned a celebration dinner, while I planned their reality check. On Wednesday morning, 3 days after graduation, I published my Facebook post. I'd crafted it carefully with a simple introduction followed by a detailed timeline of evidence. Over the past few days, I've seen some posts about Mia's graduation that don't quite tell the whole story. Since we're sharing family moments publicly, I thought the community should know who actually made this achievement possible. What followed was methodical and devastating. A year-by-year breakdown of expenses with bank statements and receipts attached as photos. College tuition payments totaling $60,000, all from my accounts. Car payments, insurance premiums, medical bills, emergency expenses. Each entry showed the date, the amount, and my name as the payer. Next to Brian's contributions, I simply wrote child support $200 month when paid. Total missed payments $12,000. College contribution $0. Other expenses, $0. I included photos spanning 10 years. Me at Mia's school, events me teaching her to drive me at parent-teacher conferences. And then for contrast, I included Brian's graduation speech video and Mia's Facebook post, calling him the best dad ever. The final paragraph was simple. I'm proud of Mia's achievement and grateful I could support her journey. I just wanted to set the record straight about who actually funded the education we're all celebrating. Facts matter. The post went viral in our community within hours. Within 2 hours, it had been shared 47 times and had over 200 comments. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, even people I barely knew were chiming in with support. Many shared their own stories about deadbeat parents taking credit for other people's work. I've always wondered where Brian was at school events, wrote our neighbor. Now I know. This is why I respect you, Daniel. You show up, commented my co-worker. Brian should be ashamed of himself, wrote one of Mia's teachers. Daniel was at every conference, every performance. We all knew who the real father was. By noon, my phone was ringing constantly. First, it was Jenna. Daniel, what the hell have you done? She screamed into the phone. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is for Mia? As humiliating as being erased from her graduation. That's not the same thing. You've put our personal business on the internet for everyone to see. I put facts on the internet. Facts that contradict the narrative you've been spreading. Jenna called crying that I was destroying Mia's reputation. An hour later, Mia called sobbing. Dad, please take the post down. People are commenting horrible things about Brian, and everyone's looking at me like I'm some kind of ungrateful monster. Are you ungrateful? That's not fair. You know I appreciate everything you've done, but this is so embarrassing. My friends are asking me why I lied about who paid for college. Did you lie? She hung up on me. The community reaction was swift and overwhelming. Teachers, coaches, neighbors, family, friends. Everyone who had witnessed the past 10 years was weighing in. Person after person confirmed what I documented. I was the one who showed up. I was the one who paid. I was the one who acted like a father. We all knew Daniel was the real parent, wrote Mia's soccer coach. Brian would show up maybe once a season and act like he'd been there all along. I remember when Mia broke her arm in 8th grade, commented our family doctor. Daniel was the one in the emergency room filling out insurance forms while trying to reach Brian for 3 hours. This man deserves respect, not replacement, shared the high school principal. Everyone said they always knew who the real dad was. The best part was watching Brian's response, or rather his complete lack of one. He tried to post a defensive comment on my timeline, something about complex family situations and doing his best, but it was immediately buried under dozens of replies from people who knew better. By Thursday morning, Brian had deleted not only his comment, but his entire Facebook account. His LinkedIn disappeared. His Instagram went private. The man who had been so eager to take credit publicly was now hiding from the consequences of that spotlight. Word around town was that he'd been asking friends if there was somewhere else he could lay low for a while, because people were recognizing him and giving him dirty looks at the grocery store. Brian deleted all his social media and disappeared again. The financial reality hit them faster than I'd expected. By Friday, Mia's car insurance had lapsed. Her phone service was cut off for non-payment. She tried to use her emergency credit card for gas and got the dreaded "transaction declined" message. That's when the desperate calls started coming. Jenna showed up at my office Tuesday afternoon looking frantic. She'd clearly been crying. Daniel, please, we need to talk about this. Mia's car got towed because her insurance lapsed and she has a job interview next week. Her phone's been shut off so potential employers can't even reach her. Sounds like Brian should handle that, I said without looking up from my computer. He's her real dad after all. You know Brian can't afford all this stuff right now. He's between jobs and not my problem anymore, Jenna. She sat down across from my desk, trying a different approach. Look, I know we handled the graduation thing badly. Mia knows it too. She's devastated by how this all turned out. Can't we just move past this and get back to being a family, where I pay for everything while being treated like the help? That's not how we see you. That's exactly how you see me. Good enough to fund the free ride, not good enough for respect. The next week, Mia tried calling from her friend's phone, sobbing and desperate. Dad, I'm so sorry about everything. I know I messed up with graduation, and I know the Facebook post was deserved, but please, I need help. I can't afford to get my car out of impound, and I start my new job. Monday, can we please talk about working something out? Have you talked to Brian about helping? He says he can't afford it right now, but maybe in a few months when his situation improves. Interesting. Where was this conversation 3 months ago when you were planning graduation? I was stupid. Okay, I got caught up in trying to make Brian feel included, and I hurt the person who's always been there for me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her apology sounded sincere, but it was 3 weeks too late. The damage wasn't just about money or graduation anymore. It was about fundamental respect, and you can't apologize your way back from that kind of betrayal. They only wanted me back when the bills started coming. 6 months later, I'm living a completely different life. The money I was spending on Mia's expenses is now going into my retirement account and a vacation fund. I took a weekend trip to the mountains last month, something I hadn't done in years, because every spare dollar went to someone else's priorities. My stress levels are down. My savings account is growing. I sleep better at night knowing that I'm not being taken for granted by people who see me as an ATM with legs. Mia eventually found a way to manage on her own. She moved back in with Jenna to save money and took a job that covers her basic expenses. Brian helps out occasionally, but not consistently. Shocking, I know. From what I hear through mutual friends, she's learned some hard lessons about the difference between promises and reliable support. I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. But I also don't miss the drama, the taking for granted, the being treated like a backup option when the real dad isn't available. Respect isn't negotiable, and neither is my peace.